So I want to talk a little bit about the INFJ Doorslam. I'm not sure how long I have on this video, so I'm gonna try to make it fast. But I found something online saying that, and I think I'm gonna try to read the whole thing pretty much. But there's this thing called the INFJ Doorslam. People talk about it, other personality types trash it, but few people try to explain it in simple terms. It's different for everyone, no doubt, but in simple terms. The INFJ Doorslam is what happens when we are burned out by unresolved emotions. So we resolve the issues by deciding that the relationship is over. INFJs are deeply emotional creatures. We don't feel as much as it looks like we do. That's mirroring, which is a whole nother topic. But when we feel deeply and fully. That means that we burn out. If we are emotionally toyed with, abused, or overlooked, and there is no end to the emotional assault in sight, we have to do something. Unlike some other types which can simply live with or ignore the emotional onslaught, we crave resolution. If we cannot get it, whether it is denied or the situation is just ignored, we resolved it ourselves. Frequently, we resolve it by ending the emotional ties that overload us in the first place. The INFJ Doorslam is not some abuse. Is not some abuse act of anger. It is not an act of revenge. It is not an act of it is an act of self-preservation. And once those emotional ties are severed, it is almost impossible to reattach them. If your INFJ is crying or angry, things can be repaired. If they're coolly, friendly, and ambivalent, sorry, oh, I can't talk today, you may have a door slam problem. Okay, so I don't know how much longer I have on this video, but I agree with a lot of things that are said in this, and I found this quote on Pinterest, and I doesn't have like the original person who created it, but it's kind of a popular quote, paragraph of what the door slam is explained. There's some other ones, but I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, especially when it comes to well, again, all the part for me to really dissect it, I can't dissect the whole thing in like a few minutes, but where it says like where other and that's what I think is the difference between it being INFJ door slam, because it's the way the functions are stacked. It's like not other functions do it in the same way, and there's a such thing as like maybe removing yourself or cutting people out of your lives, but it's still done in a different way. And I've seen some people, and it's not in a way of like, oh, you cut them out, but then later on it's all fine and they're back in your life or you're back in the situation again, because when INFJ, and that's really true, like when they're done, they are done. Like it literally would take a miracle and I said that before, like for it to, that door to open up again. And I do have a friend of mine who said that like where she can ignore certain situations, and for me I can't do that, because I know like at the end of the day the situation is still there, and ignoring it is just, I just wouldn't be able to do that. And a lot of INFJs, if I can speak generally, and this is saying that you can't ignore the situation, is usually because like we've tried to resolve the problem, we try to make amends, or we can see that the person, and again I'm talking more about a person more than the situation, but say you have a person is acting like nothing's wrong when clearly there's something that is wrong. So that is very frustrating for the INFJ, who doesn't like conflict. Nobody likes conflict, but the INFJs really don't like conflict. Like they really don't. Like their function stack, the extroverted feeling, is all about like kind of like harmony and everything with others and situations. And yeah, and I know situations in my life where. And again, the INFJ, the door slam is the very last resort. It's not something that's just thrown around lightly. It's like the thing that we just feel like you can't take it anymore. Like nothing is gonna like we see that nothing will happen, nothing will change. So it's like either the person's gonna change, which most likely it's not, because again, this is the last resort. This is not something of like, oh, how have you talked to the person about it? It's like all the things all the above has been tried and hasn't worked. So they think the last thing to do is to remove themselves from the situation, and that is self-preservation. Like it said, it's not to do it out of revenge. It's really for the INFJ, because it seems like the INFJ is the one who cares the most in that situation. So if you have the one party that cares, one party who doesn't care or acts like that they're oblivious, the person that has the most emotions invested is going to feel more hurt. And when you feel more hurt, you take drastic measures sometimes. And I don't want to say like the Doorslam is a drastic measure. To some people it might be, but you have to understand that this is a situation where it's like fight or flight. They've done all the fighting that they feel like they can, so the next option is to remove themselves from the situation. So the Doorslam is not to be taken lightly, and I don't think INFJs take it lightly either, where maybe some people think like it's easy for them to do this, but it's really not, because again, with the NI, we see the long-term consequences of the actions, and we realize like by doing this, we realize that certain things are going to come out of that. The good things and the negative things will come out of that. And we think about the whole situation. There's hardly a time where we only are thinking about the now. When we make a decision, and usually that's why it takes them a very long time to make a decision, and it takes them a long time to resort to the Doorslam, because again, that's not the first thing that comes to their mind, is to stay, like they want to fix it, they want to stay, they want to see what's going on, see where the person's coming from, see why the situation is the way that it is. But if they see that the person just refuses to change, or refuses to see their side, the INFJ side, or see what is really happening, because again, I do feel like INFJs are very caring. I mean, there's some people that aren't, that's anybody, but again, we're speaking on general terms and what the Doorslam entails. But INFJs are very caring people, and sometimes it's to the point where it's like a lot of the times it is to the point where we put other people before us, and that could be detrimental, because when we're trying to sit here and fix it, and it's almost like staying in an abusive relationship when it's long overdue to leave. It's like should have left a long time ago, but it's like, why do you keep staying? So it's a lot of psychological things going on there as well. So it's not an easy thing to do, where some people are just selfish, and they don't see all the time that's invested in it. And again, it really is an all or nothing for INFJ. We give our all, and when we feel like we've been hurt, or it only takes like one good time to mess up. That's all it takes, but again, like this is usually after a long period of time, and it's really hard. I feel like I could really go deeper and more, like on and on about this topic, and even give some example of my personal life too, of certain things. But I want to keep it at that, and I'm just curious to see like what other people think too. So yeah, all right, bye.